In 2019, when Call of Duty Modern Warfare released, it was widely respected as the first truly good game in the franchise for a very long time. It went back to the roots, all while doing it with stunning visuals. It had amazing gunplay, and it was a ton of fun to play. However, many questions have arisen. Is it appropriate for general ages to play? What controversial things are in it? What does the story say? How is Warzone? Should my kid play it? I will answer all of these questions and more in this video. This video is perfect for anybody that wants to play this game but does not know if they should buy it. I'll also keep the parents in mind as I do this and say the honest truth about how it is and give my thoughts on it. I've made this video appropriate for most ages. I have bleeped out language, blurred out extreme violence, and I've used clean language. I've left in the gunplay and blood though, as otherwise the review would be non-existent. As for where I'm coming from, I am a 15-year-old homeschool Christian guy that works for DNN. I would greatly appreciate it if you subscribe to our news network, link in the description, and also please subscribe to my own personal YouTube account. Please check out our news website, again, the link will be in the description. That being said, let's get into this. I feel like it may be helpful to list my PC specs. For my graphics card, the 1650 Super Overclocked Edition GDDR6 from Asus. For my CPU, I have the Intel i5-10400F, a very powerful and cheap CPU. And for my motherboard, I have the B560M motherboard. I highly recommend checking all these out, and they're very cheap. Now, I will list my settings. I'm running on mostly high settings, although I do have texture resolution at normal because I get dev code error 6068 for some reason. I don't know why.
Bruh. Bruh. Bruh.
Yeah, boy.
The campaign is in many ways a return to the roots. Enemies will usually drop in one hit to the chest. The story doesn't have any ridiculous cringe sci-fi stuff and is relatively believable in comparison to other Call of Duty campaigns. The devs said that they wanted it to be relatable and to look like it was quote-unquote ripped off the headlines. It certainly does feel like that, and in a good and bad way. It is believable but dark. The story has a good ending, but does not make you feel good about killing your enemies. You feel bad for attacking them and you wish you could turn it around. For example, in the first mission of the campaign, when the napalm strike happens, you can see burning bodies walking, begging for help and such things. This is disturbing and something which I have decided to blur for this video. The graphics are unbelievable and it looks incredibly realistic, which makes it all the more terrorizing. Sometimes it is almost impossible to distinguish the gameplay from real-life military videos, particularly in realism mode. When I play the game, I get some nervous thrill that I do while watching videos of soldiers fighting. That is, the characters seem relatable and believable while not being overly invincible, besides Farah. One thing that I love is mostly the characters are not invincible tanks. Instead, they have to be more tactical and slow, and most of the missions are believable to have happened. That is, if I saw a news article with the same headlines as the story, I would not struggle to believe it.
With the butcher.
One annoying thing about this game is they give such obvious connections to real-life war, but do not give any credit to it, sometimes even changing the facts to avoid lawsuits. For example, they changed the Highway of Death, an act done by the United States, to have been done by the Russians. They made up a country which is obviously just Afghanistan, known as Urzikstan. It is a believable but cringy replacement. Why couldn't they just call it Afghanistan? Why couldn't they just admit that the US bombed the highway? Why do they have to have the commander a woman? Why do they have both the women and men of the obviously Muslim culture under command of Farah doing war together? It is not realistic in those ways. That being out of the way, let me get into the characters themselves, starting off with the bearded legend, Captain Price. Captain Price with the improved graphics looks absolutely stunning. You can visibly see pores in his face and the animations look almost exactly like real life. His dialogue is both entertaining and funny, and so he makes up for an all-around amazing character. My own personal favorite character is Captain Price, as he reminds me of the old COD games, which is a good thing. Alex is a new character, and I myself really like him, although not as much as Captain Price. He can sometimes seem like a general style of American game soldier, but I myself like it as it means he isn't a cringy SJW guy. His face looks very cool with the new graphics, and his movement is very realistic. His dialogue is believable and very stunning. As for Hidir, I will give my own unpopular opinion, which is that I like him. Farah, oh boy, do I have a lot to say here. She can sometimes be the most cringy character ever and is absolutely ridiculous. Why is she in charge of a force made up of both men and women in the Muslim culture that they're in? In the mission Proxy War, you can see the unarmored Muslim men and women with AK-47s attacking an armed Russian military base. It is totally unrealistic. Farah herself is hardly of a strong build, being short, 5'3", and of a normal female build, which is naturally not very tank-like. Even for a very strong man who is built like a tank, such feats would be almost impossible. So this fantasizing is so fake and cringy. In another scene, it gets so much worse. In it, she and around half a dozen women break out of jail and storm out and become free. This is even worse. Not only is she of normal build, short, and a woman, but now she even is impoverished, starving, and has no tech or men to back her up. How on earth is that feasible or possible that they could break out of a base with a bunch of fully armed Russian men? Or in another part, when she's a child, she kills a massive Russian man using just sharp objects around the house. Now, to be fair, when she picks up a gun, she can hardly shoot it at all. And I suppose it is more believable than the rest, but still. I find it hard to believe that a tiny little girl could put a dent in such a huge man. Anyways, I'm done ranting. Now, as for the less prominent characters, such as the soldiers that show up, I am astounded by how realistic their behavior is. They act just like real-life soldiers, and I am glad to see them nail this part. None of the weapons that they use are unrealistic. They all use common army tactics, and this is very good. Probably the best part of single player. Every cringy element in single player is just put on steroids in the multiplayer. However, I will not lie, I found multiplayer to be a ton of fun. For one, it's more appropriate than single player. You do need to disable voice chat and global chat, in addition, turn off the dismemberment and gore effects. I would also turn off your character saying things, as every now and then he'll say a cuss word. Once you've done that though, if you can handle low blood, then multiplayer is fine. However, that does not take into account the SJW stuff. Let me get right into that. The skins and cosmetics are absolutely cringe. Whatever you do, don't fall into the trap of the COD store. Just avoid it. Its whispering call is thankfully easy to ignore, as almost all the skins are so cringe. There are a few good ones, but most of them are just awful. The disgusting charms, dismemberment rounds, crazy blue rounds, camos, and so on are just undesirable and something that really breaks the immersion. I do not want to see RSS in COD. I want to see Modern Warfare. You will frequently see very strange calling cards such as zombies, rainbow flags, and so on, which is just absolutely awful. Without out of the way, let me get into weapon customization and how they play. The weapon customization is actually exquisite. It is totally detailed, allowing you to do most things you would want to a gun. It is not necessarily realistic, however, it is hard to complain, as most of the attachments are believable. That is, if someone were paid to make that part, they absolutely could. I really like this, as it is enjoyable but authentic. The weapon customization is gorgeous, and I could easily spend hours just customizing my weapons. The tactical sprint and sliding are fun and engaging, and all the weapons are a joy to use. Leveling up is pretty fast, and since there are tons of things to unlock, it is so much fun. Co-op mode is absolutely garbage. Warzone is interesting to say the least. I feel that it has ultimately been ruining Modern Warfare. Warzone is fun, but it's just a complete free-for-all with chaos. There's no realism, and you will regularly see unrealistic skins and guns rushing across the map, not to mention hackers. Still though, and I enjoyed my time there, although I didn't play terribly much. It is a good game, but the Cold War and Verdansk integrations have definitely been killing it. Nobody cares about the Cold War and Verdansk games, so to see it ruin one of the best battle royales is very frustrating. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. This video took a while to make, even though it was short, and I would greatly appreciate if you could give a thumbs up and comment below. I intend to produce more high-quality videos like this, and please in the comments give any feedback, how I could improve, and that sort of thing. That's all. I am out. Thank you for watching, and God bless.